You know, I often say how good competition is for everything, no matter what it is, and especially in video games. And one needs to look no further than what we see with Microsoft right now. Clearly, they had a lack of exclusives, a lack of first-party content, a lack of quality first-party content, which is something that Sony didn't lack. And so what did Microsoft do? They went out and bought studios so that they could actually go out there and compete. This is essential to growing the business and to growing gaming in general. Now, it goes beyond that, obviously. I mean, Microsoft and Sony, Nintendo, all these companies kind of competing for our dollars and cents. But what a lot of people don't understand is it can go much deeper than that, right? Like, I've mentioned this all along because people were telling me, and don't get it twisted, like there's some shtick involved, but I am really an Xbox fan as well. You know, I like PlayStation, I like Xbox. I wouldn't say I'm a neutral. I like gaming in general. But I've been very real with my opinions on some of the faults that I have with Xbox and some of the faults that I have with PlayStation. So people tend to get that twisted. But this little bit of news that just kind of came out is blowing my mind because it's kind of along the lines of something that I mentioned years ago when a lot of people were talking to me how Microsoft was future-proofing themselves and getting ready for the future and this kind of thing. I kind of thought that this could happen. Whether it happens for certain or not, I think that remains to be seen. But this is definitely worth talking about, and I want to get into. What's up, everybody? It's me, Crap Gaming, back with another video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Slap that like button, slap it hard, slap it often, and I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming out there and, you know, helping out the channel and stuff like that. It really does mean a lot to me, and it's very much appreciated. So, with that being said, I wanted to jump into this. So what happened was, years ago, Microsoft, obviously, you know, they were getting their butts kicked and they started putting everything on PC day and date. I don't think Sony's at that part or any really close to that, but they will probably do some kind of streaming, some kind of service like that. Like they already have obviously a streaming situation, but also, you know, obviously, you know, some kind of competitor for Game Pass or whatever. And a lot of people just kind of mocked me when I said, well, you know, that would be bad news for Microsoft if Sony actually comes out with something that like that, because Sony has the bigger brand as a worldwide brand and more recognized name. PlayStation does, and recognized for better games. So if this turns out to be true, that could be a really big issue for Microsoft going forward. And we're already seeing a lot of issues with like stuff like xCloud and things like that. First of all, Stadia, they've already shut down all of their stuff, all their studios. They canceled all their exclusives. They're basically hanging by a thread. The head of Luna from Amazon already left, and nobody cares about that. You know, you have xCloud, but again, outside of the extra hardcore Xbox fans, nobody's using this service. So obviously you then have a company like Steam and Valve, come out with this Steam handheld thing, Steam Deck, and people are like really impressed with it because they want to take console games on the go. Perfect, right? Well, what happens to xCloud? Well, again, I've mentioned this all along, like people don't really want to use and rely on internet to play their video games. So that could be a problem. Now, could that be a problem for this? Yeah, it could be, but this could still be shaking some things up. Apparently, PlayStation images are found in Netflix app code, igniting speculation about a big partnership. Netflix has made it clear they're preparing to enter the world of gaming, recently hiring Mike Verdu, a veteran of EA, Zynga, and Oculus to head up their gaming division. Word is Netflix may be offering video games to their subscribers as early as next year. And it seems they could have a pretty major partner lined up, PlayStation. Recently, a data miner claimed to have found several rather interesting files within the Netflix iOS app, a logo for Endgame, a shark icon, shark fin icon. Netflix gaming initiative is said to be codenamed Shark, and images of the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller and Ghost of Tsushima. What's interesting about this, he says Netflix gaming feature has a current working name of Shark and is represented by this image in their iOS app, a shark fin. Could an image of PlayStation 5 controllers and Sony's Ghost of Tsushima director's cut indicate a partnership with Sony? Which is very interesting. Of course, we don't know why these PlayStation images were in the Netflix app code. It could be nothing. That said, could this be the first hint of PlayStation-Netflix partnership? Teaming up with the biggest streaming platform in the world could potentially be a great way for Sony to immediately become competitive with Xbox Game Pass. We should also take into account the fact that the two companies are already working together, as Netflix has streaming rights to all Sony Picture films, including the upcoming Uncharted movie. As of now, we don't really know how Netflix plans to deliver games. Some have suggested they'll simply offer downloads rather than full-on game streaming, although that would be an odd choice for a company entirely built on streaming, so I guess we have to wait and see. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you hear people talk about Xbox and Game Pass, they say it's the Netflix of gaming, the Netflix of gaming. Well, what would be more Netflix of gaming? Netflix or Xbox? And to me, listen, even Netflix offers game downloads, right? They do. They offer game downloads. Simply put, not everybody has the internet to stream. I'm one of those people, right? Technically, I'm supposed to have enough, but even with my internet, right now as it stands, I don't have near enough good enough to stream games or anything like that. So imagine if all of a sudden, the hundreds of millions of subscribers to Netflix, all of a sudden also have access to, PlayStation Now or those PlayStation games. I think that would be a big blow for, I think that would be a pretty big blow for them. So again, what would this mean for Xbox? Well, who knows? I mean, listen, Xbox is fine. Their stuff is doing great. Obviously, people probably understand that. We can see that. They continue to, do well with Game Pass and announce Game Pass games and stuff like that. I think that's important going forward. And, as a fan of gaming in general, I love to see the competition and how everybody's out there kind of, doing their own thing or whatever. I think it's very important going forward that that these companies kind of offer this kind of stuff. I don't think that this type of thing will ever fully take off the way that some of these companies want. But I still think that having an option out there would be beneficial just in case, you know what I mean? So I don't think, like I said, I don't look at this as the be-all end-all or something like that, but I do look at it as a way that Sony could definitely jump right into things, and I know people maybe don't believe that, but it's true. It's if Sony were able to do this and have Netflix's full subscriber base, they could check out something there, then I think that would be smart, and it's less of a risk that Sony has to take themselves, and the reason being is because you're letting Netflix take all the risk for you, which I think is very smart. A lot of people say this kind of stuff when it comes to a situation with Microsoft and VR. Microsoft basically doesn't do VR on Xbox and instead let everybody else take the risk, which is both good and bad. It's bad because if you really want to play something VR on Xbox, you're kind of screwed. But again, Xbox themselves aren't having to foot the bill for, any of that stuff. So yeah, I do think that this could potentially, if this is true, especially if they allow game downloads as well, could potentially be a pretty big deal and a pretty big issue for Microsoft going forward. That's just kind of how I feel about it going forward. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see how it works out, because it really kind of comes down to how these companies are going to react towards each other. So they could react one way or the other. Both these things could flop long term. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of cloud stuff, but if you can download some stuff, I think that would be pretty cool. So anyway, I will link all of this stuff in the description. Could be a pretty big blow to Microsoft and their initiative to kind of get billions of gamers, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Fact 'em up. Crapgamer out.